We're off to a place called Slad today in Gloucestershire, which was the home of the famous author Laurie Lee, and he is the reason I've decided to come here. When I was young, my mum introduced me to his book Cider with Rosie, which I read and enjoyed. I had forgotten quite a lot of it. Some of it I remembered. But then, lo and behold, on Amazon Prime, they dramatised the book and produced a lovely film, which I watched just recently, which reminded me of the story and of this place called Slad. It looks like I've taken a wrong turning. So we'll explore the country a bit. Okay, I've got to come all back on myself, but never mind. So this village of Slad, which Laurie Lee was born in, and then the events of the book and the film on Amazon Prime take place there. And the story starts towards the beginning of the story as a very sad event. But then a lot of the rest of the story is mostly upbeat, with some moments of tension, stroke. Some exciting moments in the book. But it's a lovely book. It's beautifully written. And so I thought, well, how about we head down to Slad to check out the house that he moved to when he was very young. I was going to say born in, but I think it's not true. They move there when he's small, and then he grows up there and goes to school there, and has his adventures with his classmates, including Rosie, hence Cider with Rosie, which, as he says in the book, changes him forever. I remember a phrase where he said, I would be climbing up a tree to this day if it was not for that glass of cider with Rosie. It's very beautiful down in these parts. So after that, Laurie Lee left. I think, the events of the book sort of take place during World War One. His dad's away, his dad's not present, and his mum is like a single mum raising her kids in this cottage. So the cottage is still there. I actually put the postcode of the cottage in the sat-nav, so hopefully it will take me there. But either way, we'll have a little snoop around this village of Slad. And so Laurie Lee left when he was a young man, ended up in London, but I think what he did is he went wandering around Spain first. He was somewhat of a bit of a lefty and sympathised with the anti-Franco, anti-nationalist forces. He was more of a socialist, and wandered around Spain penniless. And then somehow, I think he was playing his violin to survive like a busker. Believe so. And so the violin sort of comes into the story. Then he comes back from Spain and eventually gains fame as a writer. And I think The Cider with Rosie is like probably his most famous book. I guess it's studied in schools in English literature, and that really made him famous. It was a bestseller, I guess. But after that, so I guess he had his life in London. I believe he had a daughter, maybe several children, not sure. And he wrote a beautiful book about his experience, him and his wife with their new child, their new baby. Forget the name of that book. Why am I sort of coming back on myself here? I don't know. It's a bit confusing around here because obviously revamping all this highway. Maybe I should have sort of shut up there earlier. But then, after his time as a author, poet, whatever, in London, he decides to return back to the village of his youth. I'll have to double check if he winds up back in the same house. I think possibly he winds up back in the same house. Perhaps he purchases it. And I think he finishes his days there, and somewhere facing the valley that he so loved is the tombstone, memorial tomb of Laurie Lee. I would say Laurie, but Laurie Lee kind of just sounds a bit more poetic. And I don't know, I might be able to spot that. We'll see. Gonna be turning right shortly. So I think I'm back on track now. And yeah, just get a feel of the place. Sometimes it's quite nice if a book has made a big impression on you, to go and check out the locality and bring the book a bit more to life. I suppose you could then read the book again after that, and then it would take on even more meaning. But yeah, he's not so much spoken about these days, is he, old Laurie Lee? Let's see if we can sneak across here. One thing I am noticing is a hell of a lot of traffic down here. Maybe because it's Saturday and people are on the move. But so this is the beautiful English countryside. I've just come back from somewhat of an epic journey to India via the Middle East. You can see my videos in my channel, via the Gulf really I should say, because we stopped in Qatar for 3 nights, and it really wound up being 4 days, because we arrived at like 6 in the morning in Qatar. It was an overnight flight from London Heathrow Terminal 4. They allowed us to check in early. Wife and kids kind of crashed out a bit to recover, except my daughter. No, my wife and son were in the room. Me and my daughter, we went straight to the swimming pool in the hotel, and then a bit later, when everyone else recovered, we set about exploring Qatar. Late that afternoon into the evening, we went on a boat in the harbour for a half an hour harbour cruise. We walked around Doha, and so we're there for another 3 nights. We did an organised tour of we went to Lusail actually, which is just outside Doha, where there's a big mall. Then we did an organised tour, stopping at the Purple Island, the mangroves, the harbour, the fort, UNESCO World Heritage Fort that was built by the British in the 30s. And then we stopped off at an old traditional Doha village, which was a bit kind of, or Qatar village, a bit kind of pathetic because it's in ruins and in the process of being rebuilt. There's nothing there, but you got kind of a nice view. Oh, these are lovely woods. A lovely view of the Arabian Sea, or Persian Gulf, I think it is. And then we had the best part of the 4th day, because it was a late flight to Amritsar. I think it was about 11 p.m. or something. And again, the hotel in Qatar allowed us to check out late, so they allowed us to check in early, gave us complimentary breakfast on that first day, because it was a breakfast included rate, but didn't necessarily include that first morning arriving at 6 a.m. because like check-in times at hotels are normally like 2 p.m. so very graciously let us check in early and let us check out late on the day we were departing for India. So I've got to say, the level of service in the hotel in Qatar was amazing, and the standard of luxury. I mean, just looking at some hotels in London, for about £230 gets you like a very average hotel in London, and for that same rate in Qatar you're talking almost super luxury. I mean, it was really blew us away. So then it was on to India, and what a contrast to Qatar. It's my second time returning there. From extremely modern, rich, organised, harmonious sort of place to a third world chaotic crap hole, basically. But within that chaos and filth in India, you find some beauty as well, like especially the people, shall I say, and the food. Here we are, Slad. On that signpost is exactly where we're heading. This is Laurie country, folks. And I do love these stone walls. This one is in a bit of a state of disrepair though, but I do love them. There's something about them. It's really beautiful. So yeah, Qatar was awesome. And then India was awesome in its own way, although I'm tending to agree with the YouTubers that I follow, the travellers, that they're saying that India's a failed state. I maybe wouldn't go quite that far, but I think I'm done with India now. As I'm getting older, that excitement of when I was younger, of just going into a chaotic place like that, where traffic is just berserk, people sleeping on the streets, stray dogs everywhere, rubbish everywhere, every single toilet bar one or two stank like hell, just super overcrowded with people. As I'm getting older, I think I'm almost done with that kind of place, the kind of place I'd rush to when I was in my 20s, maybe. Indeed, it was 21 years ago. But it was good. Some good things about it to mention, though. The kids loved it. That was surprising, especially coming from Qatar to India, the culture shock. But they loved it because we met up with people there. I think that's what really made it come alive for them. We were around Vinay's house for dinner, feeding the stray dogs outside his house. It's all in my video. So that was a good one. Food was amazing. It's hard to go almost 7 nights or more of that kind of really intense food that's just rammed with butter, salt, ghee, and is super overcooked, as Indian food tends to be, has all the goodness cooked out of it. But the taste is amazing. I think I struggled more the first time eating Indian food. The first time I went to India in 2004, having Indian food, breakfast, lunch and dinner. This time I was expecting it and it was alright, and certainly the bowel movements were good and the stools were loose, without getting too graphic. But no actual food poisoning. Phew, luckily. Because some of the places you're eating, they're like amongst the best places in Amritsar, which I'm highlighting in my video. And you have to very much not judge a book by its cover, because they are filthy restaurants. There's no health and safety and there's no hygiene. But you just have to put that out of your mind and just concentrate on the taste of the food, which is awesome. The other thing I'll mention about India is, and you've definitely got to go there once in your life if you haven't been. It's just, I think for me twice is enough. I could probably go to the Himalayas or back to Goa if I went back. That'd be about it. And not being horrible or anything, it's just simply too many other places to visit. Untapped territories like the Pacific Islands or South America that I've not been to yet, or Russia when one day hopefully that opens up again. The cost of travel, the shortness of life relatively speaking, and also the fact that the globalists are constantly threatening to take away our air travel with their net zero bull, means I've got some more places I want to go. But anyway, as I was saying, It was good to go back to Amritsar because I had unfinished business there. I bring this out in my video. The first time I did not visit the Jallianwala Bagh when I should have, but in some ways it's good I didn't, because this time I came back with a camera and I was able to document the experience. And it really is a moving experience. That's a pivotal place in terms of the Indian independence movement. And me being a massive fan of Gandhi's non-violence, non-compliance, I think he's not been spoken about enough. I'm not sure why people didn't talk about Gandhi more during the COVID tyranny, to be honest. Complete government overreach, and here we are, SLAD. So on. Anyway, that's what I was going to say. I got to do the Jallianwala Bagh, which I hadn't done the first time I went to Amritsar. And I went back to the Golden Temple, and revisited the Sikh History Museum. Tell you what, I'm going to switch back onto the SLAD topic now, and Laurie Lee's place. This is where Laurie Lee is from. With a bit of luck, I've put his postcode in here. I might just end up at his property. Was recently snooping around Alfredo Campoli's property, and now I regret it now that I didn't actually knock on the door and ask if I could take a nicer photo, because the plaque was not super visible from the road, and I felt awkward snooping around there trying to get it on my camera. The old Sunday school, is this where Laurie Lee perhaps went to school? Don't know, I have to double check. But yeah, I should have knocked on the door and asked, do you mind, I'm an Alfredo Campoli fan, could I please take a photo? But I felt embarrassed and I didn't do it in the end. So here, I don't know, if you can snoop around, because somebody's probably living in the place. I would imagine it would be a listed building of historical importance, of cultural importance, given that it's Laurie Lee's place. He's buried somewhere around here, and there is like a photo of his tomb overlooking the valley. I don't know, sometimes you can Google these things and find them that way. I think I'm getting pretty close. One of these down here. One of these houses down here. And I wonder if they get quite a lot of sort of cultural tourists coming down to try and find his house, snooping around. Okay, it's telling me to go down here, so I guess I could take my bike down that road, but I'm going to have to see just how tight that road is. Maybe I could walk down there, but there's not much. See, am I going to be able to turn my bike round? That's a problem. Maybe I'll leave my bike up here. Shall I? And just take a little walk down there. Let's do that. See if I can put Laurie Lee's house into Google. See if I can put Laurie Lee's tomb into Google on my phone. So we're on to our next destination on this journey, which is Hanbury Hall, a National Trust property, which I'm swinging by as it's on the way home. I wasn't actually able to stand before the Laurie Lee property, the cottage. I think it's called Rosebank Cottage. I tried it on foot and then failed, and I tried to then get back on my bike and find it and failed because Google Maps was taking me to a private drive, so I don't know quite what that means, whether there's somebody owns another property that the private drive leads to, and they also own the Rosebank. Maybe there's a way to kind of access it from further down in the meadow, in the valley. Neither was I able to locate Laurie Lee's memorial tombstone. When I put that into Google Maps, it was taking me to Laurie Lee Wood and a 31-minute walk. So whether that was misleading me, I don't know. Whether it was in the village or just further out, maybe the other side of the valley. I know it's overlooking the valley that he loved so much and played in as a child. So never mind. At least I got to experience the village, the church where he likely went, and the school where he likely went, and I was very near to his house. So the other cottages round about have a similar character. Here though, we're heading to Hanbury Hall, National Trust property. It's been a little while since I've been to either National Trust or English Heritage, and yet I'm paying monthly for membership, so I have to make the effort to go and see these places really. Otherwise the membership is a waste. But yeah, it's like something like £18 to get into this as a one-off, and the membership is like $15 a month, so already you've made your money back. But if you visit 2 in the calendar month, you've more than made your... It's more than cost effective then at that point. But it's in the winter it's a bit harder, I think, to, especially on a bike, to go to these places. But it's a motivation to keep going. The trouble is the English Heritage, a lot of them are just like ruins in the middle of nowhere with nothing else that you wouldn't require a membership to go and see. But some of them are the ones where, you know, you have a cafe and bits and bobs. Look, there's a Freemasons Arms, some kind of Masonic pub. There's still lots of bikers out. This is saying Hanbury Hall this way, so I don't know why the sat nav. This is wrong, isn't it? I don't think this is correct. I need to go back. The sign is a little misleading there. It's the next one. Yeah, there's still plenty of bikers out. Maybe because the weather's relatively mild. Cold for me after coming back from like 32 degrees in Amritsar, India. nip past these cars. Not a bad looking M2 there. I had a couple of the M1s, M140i, M135i. The M135i was full drive, but I think my sports car days are over. I'm more than happy to have a normal car and a sports bike. Kind of, it's not a sports bike as such, but it's got the power of one. It's MT10. Use that for my thrills and save a bit of money. The Beamer just ended up sitting on the drive. It was kind of during lockdown as well. So Hanbury Hall's down here somewhere. Seems like, okay, we're some 7 minutes away from destination still, so maybe it's again kind of leaving civilization and back out into the sticks just outside this place, or perhaps it's within civilization here. And I checked, and I don't think this is a property that I've seen before. If I have, it was years ago. The wife and kids in a car, not on my lonesome. So we're still seeing a lot of these England flags up. It's a bit of a phenomenon at the moment with the Unite the Kingdom stuff. Some people say it's fascist. I don't, though. I just think it's a working class reaction to being dumped on by the government. A government that hates its own people and is flooding the country with illegal immigrants whilst putting our prices up and wasting our money. The tax under Starmer is just, people are just at choking point. And yeah, it's a working man's protest, I think. The right has become the new left. The left is completely lost. It's been taken over by corporate globalist interests. But was it they say both cheeks of the same ass? Be your own boss. Think for yourself is probably the best policy. Okay, so telling me to go straight a little bit further, but okay, Joy at Spa Marina. Must be near some kind of lake here. Or maybe a canal, don't know. Or river. So this is Hanbury Wharf, Worcestershire. We're 5 minutes away from the Hanbury Hall. And yeah, mild for mid-October. It's actually, I'm okay, just about okay on the bike, moving, but actually starting to warm up when, yeah, this is a canal here. Actually starting to warm up when I stopped in and walked around in, what's it called? Slad? Laurie country. Because I've got like 3 layers underneath the leathers. So yeah, I've got to make the most of this month for biking, because then it's going to start to get miserable. I was biking throughout last year. I actually rode into London on Boxing Day. I got the video in my channel to prove it, to check out the Cleopatra's Needle, which I'd come across when I was reading From Hell, the graphic novel. I don't think I'm going to do something that crazy this Boxing Day, because it was a nightmare. So foggy and freezing cold, it just wasn't pleasant. It was more of a challenge than an enjoyable excursion, shall we say. So, very shortly I'm going to have to be turning left. And here it is, signed Hanbury Hall. So, it is, I was right, it is back out in the sticks. And we're now about 3 minutes away well into the autumn now. The autumnal colours here. But yeah, there's so much to see here in the UK, it's astounding. Don't have to go abroad to experience some pleasant scenery. There's plenty of it here. Should be able to get some refreshments at this National Trust property. Something to eat. Actually did a fast from Thursday night to Friday night. I just stopped short of 24 hours. Feeling quite good. When I was in India, I noticed that ivermectin was available over the counter, which it isn't here, which is a travesty. And they suppressed it because they know that it cures COVID and it's cheap. And they suppressed it and vilified it, even though it's won a Nobel Prize and been classed as an essential medication by the United Nations. It's basically derived from soil bacteria. We're just approaching the Hanbury Hall here, so they won't let you get it over the counter in the UK. I was going to try and smuggle it in, but I thought better. It was like 30 rupees for a pack, and I thought there was like 12 pills in a pack, but unfortunately there was only one pill in a pack, so I ended up popping the 4 pills in India. As a result, so far, I haven't come down with the cold that my wife and 2 kids have got, and I don't know if the ivermectin has something to do with that. Who knows? But yeah, if you want some ivermectin and you're going to India, grab some. Right, where are we going to park then? It's looking quite busy here today. Let's grab us a little space here. Go and check out Hanbury Hall now.